Now it's time for us to start our discussion on the program this morning. Now, the last few weeks in Nigeria has been characterized by a plethora of events, some of which have led to the breakdown of law and order, destruction of property and loss of lives. Most recently, the day-day market riot in the FCT, which led to the destruction of properties, the Kano gas explosion, which recorded 9 fatalities, the abduction of travelers on the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway are some of the stories which made headlines within this week alone. Now, today on Daybreak, we'll be looking at some of these issues, the causes, effects, and solutions. We have in the studio Senator Iroegbu, I hope I pronounced that well, a media and security expert, as well as Jide Olatui, also a security expert, to join this conversation this morning. Thank you so much for coming, gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you in the studio this morning. We understand how very busy things can get for us, especially this season where we are contending with a lot of variables. I will start with you, Senator. What do you make of the series of... It appears that Nigeria are already on the brinks, and with every little ignition, there is a complete breakdown of law and order. What do you make of the series of clashes that we have seen in quick succession from Sokoto to Dede and now Ojo we are hearing in Lagos?
Yes, I would describe it as what we call in security or conflict circle as frustration aggression. Citizens are frustrated. The country, like you notice, is at a boiling point. And I describe the situation we are now, that the country is on autopilot, like almost like a Hobbesian state where people just do whatever they like to, because they are frustrated, so they want to take laws into their hands. Because over time, maybe there's that bridge in communication between the people and the government. There is that sense of lack of justice, even for the victim over time. And there is that sense that the state is no longer in control. So people begin to, both the criminals and even the victims in self-defense, so they are running amok. So there's no sense of order right now. And like I noted, people are frustrated. It's just something to just spark it. So frustration from a whole lot of things, from insecurity itself, from economic downturn, from misgovernance, from a whole lot of things. You hear people stealing 80 billion where many people can't even afford 3 square meters. It adds to the frustration, and they see these things, they hear it, and their lives are not getting better. And when you hear our leaders talk, they talk as if they're living in another planet. So there is that break. In fact, the pause, they are not feeling the pulse of... There's a disconnect between the governed and those governing. So it's reflecting in... So that's why any small thing you see, the anger will just explode. And those carrying out field, they can also do and get away with it because people are not brought to justice. There's no justice. So, and when they keep doing, they keep on taking laws into their own hands. That's the situation you're seeing now.
Okay, so let me direct this at Mr. Jide. Now, a lot of people have said that insecurity is the dark cloud, hovering the 2023 elections as we look forward to the 2023 elections. In your assertion, can you say this is the situation we're in presently?
Thank you very much. I think it's more than the situation that we're from the current and from the perspectives that the distinguished senator has brought about. He's talked about frustration and aggression nexus, which of course is prevalent in society right now. He's also talked about the poor economy, people inability to survive the way they want to survive and live their lives in the kind of way that they are intended to live. They cannot have enough resources to send their children to school, to feed themselves, to accommodate themselves. They can't even move around their own environment, their own country without having the fear of being molested. So yes, you have that prevalence, ushering us into the 2023 elections. It's under this context that Nigeria is moving. And apparently, you also see that with the speed at which people are now buying 100 million naira worth of forms to contest elections, looks like the political class is more interested in their own ascension to power, grabbing power, and not necessarily looking at the way the society is currently. He's talked about, that disconnect between the governed and the people governing us, which of course is very, very clear. Because in fact, Peter Obi, one of the presidential aspirants, even said it, that it is a shame on the political class that they are contributing 100 million naira and so more, 50 million naira different, for different political positions and campaigning when there is high level of insecurity, in the country. Only last night along the one of these Utaku roads, I was driving coming from town, and I saw two young guys molesting a young lady. They were dragging a bag with her just around 7:30 in the night. I had to stop, and rescue the lady. And she said this is how they normally do on that road. So if I had not been there that yesterday night, probably it could have been, another story entirely. So this is how some of these things, erupt, and the government's, response to that has been less than, what is expected.
Still staying with you, Mr. Jide. One troubling development from all of these pockets of attack or reactions we see, which, by the way, seem to be coming from every part of the country. So it's Ojo today, and then it's Okigwe that same day by evening. Then something else is pumping in Sokoto. Before you are done processing that information, you are getting reactions from Taraba over attack. Is it that our intelligence community do not understand the import of these pockets of attack that are occasioned by all of the things that you have said and the dangers that it portends? Because, like you said, it's just like a place that is already poisoned by a leaked gas, waiting for that little spark, and it goes up. What is wrong that our security architects seem to be more reactionary than doing something to nip this crisis in the bud?
Well, I think the focus essentially among the security architecture in Nigeria is to protect the status of the leadership of this country, leadership that has failed. So the attention mostly is how, to just maintain and retain power for a particular class of people, to the extent that not much is desirable for, the protection of lives and properties of the ordinary citizen. So this is, what. And another dimension to this is that you see when crime and criminality increases without any form of concrete response from the state, you see the emboldeness, you see the confidence of the criminals to, continue to perpetrate their crime. Otherwise, why would you have spate of insecurity in Abuja, in Lagos, in Okigwe, almost everywhere in the country? It points to one thing, that, leadership has failed in the entire, not only at the federal level, but also at the state level.
So, Senator, what do we need to do? Are we getting everything wrong? What is it that we need to fix as a nation?
A whole lot. When people talk about that, we need to restructure Nigeria, it sounds so far-fetched and it sounds bogus. But like he said, the way the security architecture of the country is designed, we inherited it from the colonialists. Why did the colonialists set up Nigerian security? To protect the colonial interest. And who are the colonials? The elites, the bourgeois versus the us. So they are to protect the interests of Her Majesty, the Queen. So not really for security, but to ensure that there is order, there is compliance. So, and when they left the same structure for the elites, from Nigerian elites who inherited it and never did anything to restructure, because they also, the system the colonialists produce them. And there's something like class protection. And I say, except if you're a beneficiary of a class, you fight because it's that system that produces. If you bring a new system, those set of people that system produce will not benefit it. So it will be a kind of class suicide. And that's why when people are trying to say, okay, let's do it through National Assembly, and those who are really genuine will know that that is dead on arrival, because the National Assembly are taking it to, if they really want to do a drastic changes, more than 90% of them that are there will not be there, because the system will not throw up those kind of people. So what we really need is we have to continue discussing this, holding government accountable. These are low-hanging fruits, you know, calling out the government. For example, they are not addressing, like I said, there's a disconnect between those governing and the governed. There's no communication. For example, there was fuel scarcity for like 2 weeks. No one is addressing, for some days or even a week, nobody actually knew
what was happening.
What was happening? What is the cause of this scarcity? Everybody just going business as usual. Nobody is being held responsible. You are not explaining to the people who are feeling the pinch of this what is going on, because you are comfortable. Probably in their backyard compound they have a fuel tank where they go and fill up. They are not the one going. They have PAs. They have messengers that go and do. If in the worst case scenario, if they are to queue, they are not the one to queue. They'll stay in the office. Someone will do it for them. So they are living in a bubble. And if you understand it, like if you travel outside this country, you go to their parliament, their state house. These are tourist destinations. Like if you go to Germany now, their Bundestag, that's like their national assembly. Tourists go there, they make a lot of money. You can see that there's a connection between that institution and the people. It's not far away, but just some kilometers to they call it three-arm zone. You're already calling up the people. People outside looking in what is going on there. They are shielded. So the structure, the mentality of our governance is already a disconnect. So the problem is from there before. That's why sometimes, even if you bring a very brilliant person, like what makes the Western society what they are? Because the institution is already efficient. That's why even if you bring a Buffon,
you're forced to function.
that system will, cushion his stupidity to an extent. The only difference is the brilliance and stupidity of any leader will enhance. Like the institution will be like 70%. The other 30% is the strength of the leadership. So if a leader is so stupid, it will remain that 70%. So that's why no matter the worst case scenario, something will stay the institution. So now, opposite is the case here. The leadership expected 70% because the institution is like 30. Now, when you get a leadership that is so bad, with a structure that is bad, that's why you have it so bad. So when you get a good leadership, you cannot only enhance it a little bit. So we have a huge challenge there. But like I say, we can't continue waiting until we get there. Something needs to be done is to continue holding this leadership that is responsible for almost 70% accountable, because this, as the responsibility is, the benefit is even like 1,000%. Because if you check the powers that Nigerian leaders, in fact, if you check constitutionally, Nigerian president is among the most strong. You can't even, American president don't have much power constitutionally. He has so many checks and balances. But Nigerian president can do and undo.
That's true.
So much benefits, so much return of. So they say to whom much is given, much is expected.
Okay.
But they are taking so much, giving so little. You don't address the people. You don't even bring them to show some empathy. So, and the thing cascades down, even down to a corporal on the road, you know. So when they see the whole thing, and those outside looking in, what they are desiring, dream, is to become like those who. So even when you criticize, your criticism is just, I'm here.
Okay.
Because when you get there, the system will force you to begin to act. But now, it depends on your strength of character and personality to cushion the impact of that system and begin to ask questions. How do we change it?
Okay, now let's hear from Mr. Jide this time around. It's from his explanation, it seems like we have a long way to go.
Yeah, indeed, we do have a long way to go. Unfortunately, you know, I hearing is a senator, you know, but he's discussing.
No, it's my name.
Is your it's your name that is senator?
I won't be talking like that.
Okay.
I'll be protecting
you know, so I mean, he's discussing like an academic, and I quite totally agree with most of what he has said, because these are textbook, you know, kind of analysis that we have seen in reality, you know, in the Nigerian society. He has talked about, you know, institutions, the need to build institutions that can frustrate even the worst of leaders, because of course what we're doing is absent, you know, currently in Nigeria. He has also talked about, you know, we engaging, you know, the leadership, who is engaging the civil society, the media, you know, and the general populace. So there's need to, you know, to continue to, you know, engage with the leadership of this country to help direct them aright, even though the institutions are not there. Yeah, but the people are there. Now, that is the hope that I have for this country, that all is not lost. Why? Because Nigeria do have advanced citizenship. We are far more advanced. I mean, the people are far more advanced than people at the... Unfortunately, most of the people that are advanced more than people at the leadership level, they are not even at the leadership level. So the state institutions that are supposed to be directing the leaders are right. They are not there. But at the bottom level, you have people who know so much and know what to do, and they do the right thing. The Lekki youth protest, NSAS protest, was a very clear example. When it came up, everybody seems to be in support of that, you know, the protest. But before that time, nobody was talking. But when it came on board, you know, and nobody even knew that it was going to happen. So, but when it came on board, at least it redirected the leadership of this country somehow. So this is what. So that is still going to come. Even when the military held this country, you know, by the jugular. Some people rose, and the military had to go. So no matter what is the failings of the, you know, of this system, you will see the Nigerian system in one way or the other correcting itself.
When you talk about the Nigerian system correcting itself, I am a bit worried because you alluded to your comment earlier when you said when you had traveled out of this country. We have seen from, well, one of my colleagues don't like me using the word sinner climes. We have seen from other climes that some of the things we desire are not things that are given to people freely. They are demanded by citizens. We have to move from this docility to an active citizenry, because, I mean, if you push an average Arab to the wall, you are sure he will bounce back with regards to whatever you throw at him. But it does appear like the Nigerian citizen, you know, hits the wall, break the wall, and continue to push back. And even when he chooses to bounce back, he chooses the wrong people. You know, we attack ourselves, destroy our own properties, and continue to shield these people. I'm worried when you said we have advanced citizenry, because there's a popular saying that when a powerless conscience collides with a conscienceless power, the result is a double tragedy. We appear like that advanced citizenry are not interested in the Nigerian project. They just want to secure their small business, do their things with that, because there is enough frustration already from the state. And then the other people who are willing to do something don't have the orientation as to what needs to be done. An Okada ban is instituted, you have a union. Rather than talk to the authorities, you take to the road to burn cars, to stop your fellow citizens from going to get their livelihood. We saw the case in Sokoto, a classmate and a disagreement. Rather than take to the authority and charge under existing law, you take laws into your hands. And we see the import of what has happened. You see the case in Okigwe, where the governors have become experts in condemning the issue. How do we build a mass of that citizenry that is enlightened from taking real interest in saying enough is enough?
Okay, thank you very much. I don't think enough of that enlightened citizenship is interested in grabbing power. I, for one, am not interested in grabbing power. I just want to live my life like every other person, have something to, swallow at the end of the day. If I want to get to the hospital, if I'm healed, I can always, have something to, I don't want to aspire to, grab power, because it's even more dangerous. It's even more risky. I don't have that time. I don't even think I have. A lot of people don't want to grab power. They just want to live their life, right, quietly and peacefully, and do what they are saying and move on. So moving to corridors of power and wanting to grab power or get involved in the partisan politics is not what people, this enlightened citizenship. But all what they could do is they could engage in discussions, they could engage in writing articles, they could engage in analysis and all this stuff, that they know that even though they cannot access those people in power, they can be able to access them through their writings. Right. You understand? So another thing is that when you see, when you talk with whether people are at the bottom level or at the middle level or even at the top strata of the society, the same thing seems to reverberate. That they know where the problem is coming from. Mm. And they know that gradually, you are transiting away from the present administration. They are looking forward to the next administration. Mm. So that is why some things may not, maybe it may not go beyond the way, but we shouldn't leave it the way it is. That, because another administration probably is coming in, then, we should just relax. Because like you said, we are just in an Obesian state of nature where anarchy is the, order of the day. You are going out of your house, an Okada person just, or you are not even sure whether you are going to return, the same way you have. Every small, disagreement, there's tension. Every more disagreement between an Okada man and a trader or a keke napep, it triggers, hostility and violence. And at some point, it comes with some ethnic coloration, religious coloration, and this is how this thing suddenly expands. Because yes, you don't have security, apparatus, in every segment of the society. So if care is not taken, you see small, just like the Deborah, Samuel issue. How that lady just, died like that, and even at that. And he mentioned that, you see, a lot of all these things are happening, and nobody seems to be taking responsibility. There's no accountability. You did this, and people see that justice has been done. Hmm. So that if that is lacking, you see the continuous rise, in crime and criminality. He was talking about Germany. Go to Ghana or even South Africa. These are countries that are even envying Nigeria. But when you, as a Nigerian, when you go to Ghana, you see how very peaceful, how very colorful the Ghanaian society is. Accra. You see, I was in Accra about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I've always been going to that country, 10, 15 years, and I've seen, not that Accra is the model, not that is better than Nigeria, but you can see the trial at developing progress that those people are making in terms of the structures, in terms of the road networks, in terms of livelihood. You'll be happy that that's why you see a lot of Nigerians, either academically or business-wise, they are, gravitating towards.
We will take a short breather. When we return, this discussion continue. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned to us on Daybreak on Trust Television. We had to take that breather, and you would have imagined what kind of conversation we were having behind the camera. Everybody who loves this country seemed to be bothered, except those whose primary and only life ambition is to become whatever capacity they choose to run. Now, coming back to the issues, are we as citizens going to endlessly continue to talk about these things and hope that political leaders, as we have in Daily Trust, continue to hop around in private jets? Or we would get to that point where we will begin to seek self-help? I listened to the chairman of the Gun Producers Association of the United States speak during the Trump administration. He said the only way to stop the bad guy with the gun is to arm the good guy with the gun. Are we going to get to that level where you become your policeman in addition to being your NEPA, being your water board, and being your Ministry of Works, practically paving the way to your house, digging your borehole? Is that where we are headed?
We're already there, except the gun part. But even the gun part is already happening. That's why you have a mushrooming of self-defense militias called vigilante everywhere in all these states, because nature abhors vacuum. So, and that's why for some of us that advocate of community policing and state policing, these are why, because I myself, I don't like something that is informal, but I don't condemn it if there's no alternative, even though I don't accept it, because I assume those are natural response to nature. Because when number one law of life is self-defense, you have to live before you talk about road, you talk about electricity, talk about, because if someone is dead, he doesn't know about any road, so security, and that's why any government, be president, be their number one job is security of life and property. That's why the president, first of all, the commander-in-chief, the number one chief security officer. Now, coming to we already provide, each of us, most of us run diesel or generator. You are providing a light. You build some fences will be so high, you begin to wonder what is going on there. You have so many other institutions, be it church, be it mosque, they tie roads to there. So many communities provide electricity. So people are already doing that. Okay, before I came, suddenly was it yesterday now, without announcement, the water board just seized water without even informing. Nobody, up to today, we are in the dark. What happened? Why did they seize this water? Nobody informed us so that you can prepare and take some contingency measures. So that's for us that are even privileged to have water board. There are those who they rely on borehole, they have to dig, they have to. So these are things. So for security, the issue of the gun, even the government officials themselves have already proposed that. You remember the former Minister of Defense,
Tiwa Danjuma?
No. Okay, Tiwa Danjuma made the same. Then there's this guy.
General Malu.
This from Zamfara State.
Magashi.
No, before Magashi, I've forgotten that his name. Anyway,
Not
Dambazo, yes, the one that Magashi replaced.
Okay.
He said people should...
Dan Ali.
Dan Ali. That people should... Even Magashi also made the same statement. That people should defend themselves. Why should you allow bandits, two people that carried some guns and some bullets to come and chase? So, and several state officials have called for self-defense, meaning that you are telling people you are abdicating your responsibility. If such statement can come from someone in the position of Minister of Defense, so what is he saying? He's saying that they are helpless in their role. If he's in a, like you mentioned, Senacon, let me not use it, that if he's in some society that holds leaders responsible. Immediately, he's losing that result because what are you doing? So, in a sense, we are in a state whereby citizens are already providing everything for themselves. Like you say, are we heading there? We are there already. But how do we get out of this hole? How do we get at it? Now there's election. Just that at every point in time, like he mentioned that we have advanced citizens, but we have such a sophisticated faulty system that no matter how brilliant the citizens are, that faulty system always find a way to beat the citizens to it. Because it's okay, go and arm yourself with the PVCs, and the politician will always find a way to cut corners to make sure that either people are disenfranchised or people are discouraged from even getting there. You know, they'll always find a way to make sure that citizens, then when citizens organize themselves, like the NSAS he talked about, you still find how a system will just infiltrate this thing and reverse the gains. Or even when you say, okay, let us organize maybe protest, and the leadership begin to, how do we, let's know religion or ethnicity. They look, the leader of this protest, where is he from? They will tag the religion. They try to find out the ethnicity of a few of them. If they are so unfortunate, maybe that's not what they have in mind. Maybe just because maybe people are like mine, they happen to. They say these people are coming to destabilize us, overthrow. So before you know it, they already gotten the other side. Agitated. So that has been the way system has been able to be the citizen. But we have to continue reorientating, talking to ourselves. But I know they say Rome was not built in a day. But people ask you, a child of 12 years that is still crawling, then there's a problem. So for how many years are we going to say, like people say when they were young, they say youth are leaders of tomorrow. Now they are almost 50 years. They are still saying leaders. And those that were leading when they were still there, they are still there.
So let me direct this at Mr. Jide. How important is it for the government, to communicate? How important is communication between the people and the government in helping stem all of the challenges we are facing as a nation?
I think the government itself is tired. It's also frustrated. It looks like the security situation is beginning to overwhelm the government, so there's nothing else to communicate. You notice that the Minister of Communication, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, unfortunately for him, his name seems to be very synonymous with Lai. So it becomes even very... when was the last time you seen Lai Mohammed even communicate with the public? And Garba Shehu and Femi Adesina, when last did they are tired? Because apparently it looks like they are even out of communication weapon. They don't know what to do again. Because the situation seems to have overwhelmed even people,
But just to add a bit of strength to what Zainab is saying, are we doing enough? Well, they could be overwhelmed, but is that the only channel that we could possibly use to do this? What has happened to a community-based intelligence gathering? What has happened to the role of the community leaders, the emirs, the obas, the imams? Can't we revitalize all of and create some trust such that we could have, tangible feedback and communicate this thing and create a bond so that they understand it is we and you versus them rather than what is going on?
My brother, the economy has turned everybody into, the society into, everybody trying to fend for himself. Just like he said, that you know it. You do your own, when you build a house now, you do your own water system, you generate your own water system, you put a buzu there. If you don't put a buzu there, if anything happens, people will even be blaming you. Even the police will be blaming you that, you built a house like this, you didn't put a security guard there. So, I mean, it gets to that point, and you were also talking about retaining guns and all that stuff. Maybe we'll go there at some point, you know. But you see, we already have a very high level of domestic violence, gender-based violence, domestic violence, neighborhood violence. Then you want to begin to have guns when you have road rage. You know, tension is already in the society. If you now have access to weapons, the next thing is, you know, you just abuse me, I just draw a weapon and I kill you. That will bring another. You are trying to solve a problem, but you see, you are expanding. You are going to, you know, another level. But if we talk about, let's come back to the issue of communication. It would have been better if, let's say, the president is always, you know, like the president in Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo. If he becomes very statesmanly, and, you know, as he's trying to do something quietly, you know, talking with the defense chief, you know, and all this stuff, and he's also communicating directly, not through media aids. Channels. Not through media, not through channels that, you know, coming maybe on a monthly basis. Right. Be doing a review of security situation. We have had, this is what we have been doing, this is what we have been doing. We plead with the citizenry, you know, just people will have more passion that the government is actually doing something, and they will look up as a father. The president is, so people will every month, if he continues to do that, what has he got to say? But you see, when you don't communicate it, she's very right. If you are not communicating with, it's just like a husband and wife in the house. If you are not communicating, how do the family progress? Interesting.
What a way to round up this conversation. I wish we had more time to drill into other aspects of this conversation, but I'm sure that when we call on Senator Irabu and Jide again at other times, they would oblige us. And we will continue to talk, as the analysts have stressed in this conversation. It's been a pleasure having you in the studio. We've been talking with Senator Irabu, a media and security expert, as well as Jide Olatui, a security expert, who have joined us in the conversation to x-ray the pockets of violence we have seen around the country and the implication for national cohesion. It's a pleasure to have had you in the studio. This is where we would call it a wrap for today. Thank God it's Friday, as they say. We would be able to catch some rest towards the weekend, where we would recharge and return to serve you even better packages for next week. Please stay tuned with us on all of our channels, from Facebook to Twitter, and all I've handled. If you have missed any part of the show, you could catch up on those handles. It's been a pleasure having you on the show this morning. I am Sunday Michael Ogu.
And I'm Zainab Bala, and we leave you with my daily hustle.